Mercedes had a stellar performance in the 3 races preceding the 2022 British Grand Prix, securing at least one podium finish. These performances were reminiscent of their impressive form at the Spanish Grand Prix a few weeks ago, when Lewis Hamilton came from behind the grid to finish 5th and George Russell finished on the podium. The Silver Arrows once again did not disappoint on the Silverstone circuit, securing another podium finish, leaving many F1 fans wondering how they overcame their bouncing issue and became one of the fastest on the grid. What modifications has Mercedes made to the W13? Can they finally compete with Red Bull and Ferrari? At the British Grand Prix, many British fans were rooting for Mercedes at the Silverstone circuit as it was Lewis Hamilton and George Russell's home race. It was also exciting to see the German racing team bring a major new package to the Silverstone circuit to potentially put themselves back in contention for both the Drivers' and Constructors' Championships. George Russell, who had managed to finish in the top 5 in all races this season, wasn't left out as he explained that he was very positive about the race, citing the smooth surface of the Northamptonshire track as one of the reasons for his optimism. So, I think this high-speed nature of Silverstone, a smoother surface, will definitely play to our hand a bit more than it has done in the previous 3 events, Russell said. Russell's excitement and optimism were understandable given that the Silverstone circuit's track layout plays into Mercedes' strengths because of its similar to the Catalunya circuit, where they had one of their best races this season, and as such, they were not expecting the bouncing issue that has plagued them all season. Lewis Hamilton, his 7-time world champion teammate, was not left out, explaining that he was more excited about the upgrades that Mercedes brought to the 2022 British Grand Prix. It's always nice to have upgrades. The amount of incredible work that goes on in the background is overwhelming and phenomenal to see. People are delivering, and it's always a big push to bring these components under the current circumstances. I am very proud of everyone, very grateful, and I hope it comes out on the track, Hamilton said. So, for the first free practice session of the 2022 British Grand Prix, both Mercedes drivers were eager to test their upgrades. But unlike Russell, who was unable to set a lap time on the wet Silverstone circuit, Hamilton completed the most laps and finished 2nd quickest, just 0.532 seconds behind Alfa Romeo's Valtteri Bottas, who took P1. Later in the second free practice session, 8-time British Grand Prix winner Lewis Hamilton finished 2nd to Ferrari's Carlos Sainz, just 0.16 seconds off the pace set by Sainz. Hamilton was quick to point out that the upgrades Mercedes provided had so far significantly improved the speed of his W13, saying, "Our long-run pace isn't as good as the other guys, but it's not miles off. So we've definitely made an improvement, and I'm sure overnight we can work and improve the car even more." George Russell, who finished P8 in FP2, also confirmed that the W13 was among the fastest on the grid in the second free practice session. "We were a lot quicker than them at the end, when we got our tires warmed up. The Ferraris, by the end, they were facing tire degradation. We were just improving lap after lap," Russell said. Mercedes trackside engineering director Andrew Chauvelin echoed their sentiments, stating that their performance as the first 2 practice session was unexpected given that they are not normally up to near the top on a Friday. Normally we see a sort of a gap, half a second, maybe even 7/8 tenths to the faster team on a long run, and that didn't look like it was there, Chauvelin said. Mercedes was revealed to be the 3rd best racing team on the long runs due to their performance at the Friday free practice session. They were around 0.67 seconds off the pace set by Red Bull, with rumors in the paddock that they had been closer than that. Hamilton and Russell, however, had a disappointing qualifying session, finishing 5th and 8th respectively. But it was clear that the upgrades to the W13 had made it one of the fastest on the circuit, as Russell stated, "The car definitely had the pace for P4, P5 today. I made a mistake when it mattered on the last lap, so a little bit disappointed, but there is still promise there. The pace in the dry this morning looked really strong. It's going to be dry tomorrow, and our pace at high fuel could be on par with the guys in the front." Later, at the start of the Sunday race, Hamilton raced past some drivers ahead of him to take 3rd place, but was relegated to 5th after a red flag was displayed for a collision involving George Russell and Alfa Romeo's Guan Yu Zhou. Russell was unable to continue because the FIA disqualified him after his W13 was returned to the pits by marshals. As a result, Hamilton was the only Mercedes driver left on track, and he did not disappoint as he came very close to winning his first race of the season. He was in a battle with the Ferrari duo of Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz for the most part of the race, and was even favored to win after both Ferraris stopped, but a 4.3-second first pit stop cost him as he re-emerged behind both Ferrari drivers rather than going head-to-head with them. A safety car that was triggered after Alpine's Esteban Ocon stopped on the track on the 39th lap also took away his tire advantage, and he quickly lost his place to Sergio Perez after the racing resumed, despite racing past Leclerc, who was struggling on the hard tires. He eventually finished third after Sainz won the race, but team principal Toto Wolff was adamant that Lewis Hamilton could have won without the early crash. Without the safety car, he would probably have won the race, and at the end, Perez was there and Sainz went. The most encouraging thing was that we had a car that was able to race, Wolff said. Wolff's statement was not that far from the truth, given that the W13 was clearly much improved on the Silverstone circuit. The upgrades, combined with the smooth Silverstone track surface, helped reduce the car's bouncing, unlocking its pace. In addition, unlike the Montreal circuit, where Mercedes was ranked 6th fastest manufacturer, they were 3rd fastest at the British Grand Prix, trailing Ferrari by only 0.092 seconds. Remarkably, on the 52nd lap, Hamilton set the fastest lap of the race. Speaking about his performance, the 7-time Formula One champion praised the team for the improvements they made to the British Grand Prix, saying, "I'm so grateful for all the hard work the team did to get the upgrade here. We've made a step closer to them, so we've got to keep pushing. We've got some improvements to make, but this is a huge bonus for us to be on the podium." Andrew Chauvelin was also pleased with the W13's improvements as a result of the upgrades, saying, "There was plenty of time where it looked like we might be able to get back into the fight for the win, but sadly it was not to be. Even so, we can take a lot of encouragement from the progress this weekend. We brought a significant update to the car, and it looks to have delivered what we expected." These supposed upgrades that revived the Silver Arrow's W13's speed were not the regular changes in setups that had helped them in the previous 2 races. Mercedes made some serious changes to their front suspension, floor, side pod vanes, and rear wing, and debuted a revised bib wing for the British Grand Prix. These changes, where Mercedes technical director Mike Elliott described as pushing the car forward, were intended to make the W13 faster, and it appears that it did just that after their British Grand Prix outing. A look at the front suspension they brought to the Silverstone circuit reveals that Mercedes added volume to the pushrod and the top wishbone in order to downwash the flow local to the chassis side and shed a vortex, which then goes on to improve flow underneath the floor, thereby improving the car's aerodynamics. Another notable change is the W13's updated floor. This racing team advanced the floor edge wing slot as well as the angle of the front wheel, both of which aim to lift the forward floor load. A minor camber adjustment was also made at the front wheel to the forward floor fence to increase the pressure delta across it and improve flow to the diffuser. They also repositioned the side pod vanes, which improves flow quality into the radiator duct while providing cooling performance. They also redesigned the rear wingtip to reduce camber in order to reduce drag without sacrificing too much downforce. The Silver Arrow also debuted a revised bib wing to improve flow quality beneath the W13's floor. Nonetheless, these upgrades were effective, and Mercedes might just be back to finally prove a 3rd serious challenge to both Red Bull and Ferrari, something that many F1 fans have been waiting for. Do you believe Mercedes will be able to maintain its newly gained speed in the future? Do you believe Mercedes now has a chance to overtake Red Bull and Ferrari in both the Drivers' and Constructors' Championships? Please share your thoughts in the comments section. See you in the next video, guys.